I am Jim Collison and live from our virtual studios around the world. This is Gallup's Call to Coach, recorded on April 9th, 2021. Call to Coach is a resource for those who want to help others discover and use their strengths. We have Gallup experts and independent strengths coaches share tactics, insights, and strategies to help coaches maximize the talent of individuals, teams, and organizations around the world. If you're listening live, love to have you join us in our chat room. There's actually a link right above me, right up there to it. It'll take you to a YouTube page. Sign in with your Google account, and there's a chat room that is there. Ask us your questions live. If you're listening after the fact, send us an email, coaching@gallup.com. Don't forget, subscribe on your favorite podcast app or there on YouTube. A great way to stay up to date on all the things that are going on. Abbie Goranson is my guest today. Abbie's Gallup's event manager. She is my Gallup at Work Summit coach, by the way, all things working me through the processes and getting done. And probably right now, the hardest working person at Gallup as we get ready for the summit. Abbie, welcome back to Call to Coach.
Thank you, Jim. It's so exciting to be here. And I was just following the chat, and it's so fun to see some of the names that I know we've had attendees in the past. And I just realized I need to join this more often to see some of our past attendees more frequently.
Yeah,
so thanks for having me.
They're a little bit like groupies at times. They come out when we do these and they all know each other. It's great to see new folks join us live. It's kind of, the summit experience is a lot like this, and you're going to have some updates on it. We've got some improvements coming to it from last year that is specifically around this experience. So I know for you, as you watch this, it's kind of that you're looking for that same experience when we think about the summit. But why don't you take a little second? Let's walk through, tell us a little bit about you, your role. Folks they may be new to it, and what you're doing for the Gallup at Work Summit.
Yep. So I'm the events manager here at Gallup. I manage the summit, and I also manage our other events worldwide that are outside of our courses that our clients and our attendees pay to attend. So we have some of you may have attended our summit in London and Singapore, but our main event is obviously our summit here in Omaha. That is for the second year virtual this year, June 8th and 9th, for those who have not signed up yet. Last year, we moved the event to virtual with everything going on in the world, and with so many uncertainties over this last year with will attendees be able to travel. Last year we had over 60 countries, representatives from over 60 countries, so we just didn't know what the world would look like this June, and we thought, let's make sure we get this experience right this year, instead of trying to change things in the last month like we did last year, to make sure that we brought everyone who have grown to love the experience that the summit brings. We're hitting their expectations. So second year in a row, we're virtual, and we're really excited about some of the changes for those who have attended our virtual event last year that I know we're going to get into a little bit later. The event fee is $495 this year, and our certified coaches on the call, you do get a discount code, certified coach, for $100 off, for a $395 rate.
Let me be really clear on that code, because there's a little confusion. All caps, certified coach, no space, all one word.
No space.
Certified coach. If you have some questions, you can email us, but that's the easiest way to get that discount code for our certified coaches.
Exactly. And then another thing to remember is we do offer courses just around the summit that are not available at any other time of the year. And for all summit participants, you choose a course that you want to add to your registration at a 15% discount. So included in this is also one-on-one coaching calls, and these calls are customized to what you and your coach determine you want to work on. So it's really customized to your needs, and they're scheduled based on your availability. One of the questions that we have come in is when people register, and for many of those who have registered already and may have chosen to add a coaching call at a discounted rate, is thinking that these occur before the summit. Because of all the logistics, we want you to take your learnings from the event. You will get contacted after the event concludes to schedule your one-on-one based on your best availability after the summit. So just know that. But we're excited to have those offerings. We had a lot of attendees take advantage of that last year and had great success.
There's a lot of moving parts in that. And I'll just encourage folks to go to gallupatwork.com to see and scroll down through the page, all those events that you're talking about, the add-ons to it with the special pricing listed there. And then there's an agenda tab that's up there as well. If you want to see the complete agenda. It's been posted. The keynotes are there. We're super excited about Satya Nadella coming to be kind of our lead keynote. Abbie, I think you did that just for me because he's a hero of mine. Like, I was a Microsoft MVP for a lot of years, and when I heard that he would be coming to speak, that's a big deal. So we're excited about that. Can you talk a little bit about the mechanics of the summit as far as what's going to be available? What are we going to do? Maybe how is it the same or different from last year?
So this year, and I'm just going to talk about last year. Last year we did one full day, and we found out that was a lot to do in one day. It was a lot of learning, it was a lot to take in, and it was very fast. We also realized that we do have attendees from around the world in 60 different countries. And while we bring people here in Omaha, and we had the timing based on what the event would be in Omaha, that doesn't always work best for everyone. So we've shortened the days, 11 to 4 Central Time, in looking through creating half days for our East Coast and West Coast participants. And we know this isn't obviously ideal for everyone around the world, but we're trying to shorten that time frame. So if it isn't ideal, it's at least a shorter time. And for both days, we offer kind of the same sort of structure. So we open with a keynote, and then we go into 2 hours of breakout sessions. You have 8 options during each of the hours to choose from based on, the topic of your choice to attend live. And then we have a closing keynote. On the first day, we have an hour of networking designated, and we're super, super excited about the networking experience. We know we didn't nail it last year with the text networking, and all of the networking this year, you'll have the opportunity to do video networking. We're adding some new features with a speed networking feature. So if you are going, you will be able to answer some questions about what things that you want to talk about. And we have a technology that finds other attendees that also want to talk about the same thing. And you're set up in a room like a Zoom call that you get 2 minutes to talk to another attendee about that subject, and then you switch to a new person. And after the event, you get after the speed networking, you get a full transcript of everyone who you talk to with their contact information, so you can continue the conversation after. We also have topic roundtables similar to last year, but we're setting them up in a way where you can again talk about the topics in a video way, so you can see the people that you're talking to, which just really enhances that experience. And even though it's not in person and you're not doing the hallway little group chats, we're trying to replicate that as best as we can in the virtual platform. So we're super excited about this. After that, we know every year we hear from attendees, I wanted to attend 30 of the sessions and I only could choose 4 live, and we really struggled with our live event. But moving to virtual, we now have the opportunity so all attendees can view all of the sessions being offered on demand for 90 days in the platform. We'll have the platform up, and you can go in and out based on your schedule and availability, along with other kind of surprises that we'll be announcing here in the next month for some interactivity outside of the breakout sessions.
What about for credit? A lot of coaches need, credit, ICF credit, some of those kinds of things. What about the availability of that this year?
Yes, so we have submitted all of our sessions to give accreditation, and we're currently in that process for coaching credits and then SHRM credits. So you'll see that announcement here over the next couple of weeks.
And will that be posted to the site when
Yes.
that's available? Okay, That's good. And really, that's really where folks should be kind of focusing. If they have questions, maybe come to the site first to see if we've already addressed it, right?
Yes, and if you're registered, we do have email updates to all of those who are registered. So when we get the accreditation approved, we'll send an email to everyone who's registered, and then we do update our site. So if you're not registered, continue to go on the site as we update it. But also, I'm just going to push you to register, because then you'll get all the information you need. One of the things I did want to talk about is if you haven't registered, even though last year you could register through June 7th, the day before the event, we have this, or the day before the event, and you can still register on that day. We have added a virtual event box this year. So for all of those on the call that know about our new well-being book, we are sending these out to each of our participants this year, along with another surprise. But in order to get this before the event and to interact with the tools that we're sending, you need to register by May 15th. That will allow us to make sure we can get you these materials prior to the event start date.
Abbie, is that U.S. only, or is that are we doing the whole world?
Around the
that way?
world.
All right, so
Yes.
May 15th is the date on this, right? They're gonna
Yes.
get a special gift box from us. They're gonna get the new well-being book plus a surprise, and the
Yep.
surprise is pretty cool. I've seen it, so you might want to be a part of that. So this is one of the reasons not to wait. Like get out there, get registered, get your registration in. Do it by May 15th, and that box will come to you. That gives us plenty of time to get that put together and sent to you. Anything else when we think about the summit itself that you like to highlight?
Well, we just have a lot of surprises in store. I think those who have been to our live event in the past are going to be very surprised when they log in. This year, you will be brought back to Omaha in a virtual way, and you'll see your familiar faces that you're used to seeing in person. So we're really excited about just the enhancements that we have really improved the experience from last year. And we had great feedback from our virtual event last year, but we're maximizers here. We always are making things better. And we're just excited that I know one of the questions were, will networking be available the whole time? While we have designated time slots, it will be available so you can continue to grow your networks, because that's one of the main reasons our attendees come to the event, is to grow their networks, connect with their favorite friends from around the world that are all passionate about CliftonStrengths and in development.
Yeah, no, super awesome. Let's dig in a little bit on these breakouts, because we get a lot of questions around this. Give us a little more detail about what kinds of breakouts are going to be available.
Yes, so we have a wide range of topics of breakouts this year. One of the main ones, as we have been talking to people from around the world, is well-being. Well-being in the workplace I was talking to you about this before the call, is a hot topic right now, with everything changing, with workplaces being remote, with workplaces being hybrid, with some people coming into the office, and just the mental toll on all of this. So while our attendees are also getting our new Wellbeing at Work book, we have several sessions talking about well-being. One of my favorite that I'm really excited about is our friend Micah is leading one around designing a culture of work well-being, and what that work-life balance that I know all of us are striving for really looks like, and how strengths fits into this, how relations fit into this. And so that is probably one of my highlights. Another well-being one is specifically on strengths and well-being. And then we also have Paul Walters, who's leading the manager's perspective of well-being. So well-being will definitely be talked about. We also have, if you look at all of our breakout sessions, you'll see so many CliftonStrengths sessions. I know last year, many of our attendees knew we changed the name of our event from CliftonStrengths to Gallup at Work. But when you look through all of our topics, it's really because we felt like CliftonStrengths was embedded in everything that we do. So we have CliftonStrengths talking about agility. We have CliftonStrengths talking about manager development. We have CliftonStrengths talking about just culture. So when you look through the sessions, even though we tried to make sure that not all of our breakout sessions says CliftonStrengths and CliftonStrengths and CliftonStrengths and, make sure you're reading the descriptions to get a full understanding of what is being presented.
Yeah, and a great opportunity. I think we'll hear from some of those breakout session leaders here in a second, but just a great reminder that, really, as we think about well-being, strengths, and engagement, those really blend together in all of our concepts, all of the things we teach, all of the things that we learn. Ralph had asked a question earlier, are there going to be some new topics of some things we haven't covered on Called to Coach? And yeah, Abbie makes me hold some things back. So there's lots of great stuff that's coming. And so there'll be some new opportunities and some new things. I think, what you're going to hear, and we've got some well-being stuff kind of coming up for the book on Called to Coach, but some of our best thinking around well-being is going to be launched during the summit. So we're going to spend a bunch of time thinking about that as well. Abbie, anything else as we think about those breakouts? Anything else you want to share before we hear from those session leaders?
No, I'd like to actually bring in Dean, our Global Talent Development Architect, to talk about his session, because I think his is going to be a highlight for many on this call.
Okay, let's listen to Dean.
Thanks, Abbie. I am really excited to speak at the summit again this year. I think I've been at the Gallup at Work Summit every year since we started, and every year it's just an incredible experience. This year, the breakout that I'm going to be doing is called Developing Outstanding Managers and Team Leaders Using CliftonStrengths. I'm really excited about this topic because, as you all know, it's really about the manager. And we know that managers have such a significant impact on teams, on associates, on organizations. That's really where all the influence really is in terms of engagement and the culture of the organization. And at the same time, we know that most managers became managers from individual contributor positions. And I've always been really fascinated by the fact that I just think it's so interesting that what makes people successful as an individual contributor actually undermines their performance as a manager. That all those things that got them to that role are the things that, if they lean into that too much, actually undermines their performance. So in our session, we're going to talk a lot about what makes somebody a great manager. What are the kinds of things that you want to do when you're coaching managers to be successful? How to help them really own all those successes they had as an individual contributor, but also start to really focus on the things that are going to have them have high impact as a manager. We'll also talk about things like how blind spots are magnified and more central to the performance of managers, and how the lack of self-awareness can be really a killer, and how building self-awareness can really be something that is a big differentiator for successful managers. So lots to unpack in this area, and I'm really excited to be talking about it at the summit.
We'll have that new manager report as well.
That's what I was going to talk about. We actually, so for those that are interested in Dean's session, the session I recommend to attend also is Austin's session, all around the CliftonStrengths for Managers report, which we're releasing right alongside the summit. So all of our attendees can have access first, and we can dive in deep with that report along and how it aligns with all of these other sessions that are being presented.
Yeah, it's exciting. Notice he said Cliftonstrengths in there. Just saying, right? So
yep.
we're excited for that. What else do we have, Abbie?
And I also want to pass it over to another one of our most popular presenters, Jackie Merritt, to talk about her session around coaching.
Hi, Abbie. I'm really excited to be presenting again at the summit this year. And I'm sure all of you coaches out there, as you've been watching leaders in action over the last year, you've been wondering about how you could be helpful to them and support them and partner with them as they've been navigating these really tough decisions. And I've had the opportunity to coach a number of CEOs and executives this last year, and would like to share with you some of my experiences, some things that have been helpful that I've learned along the way. So really, I'm going to focus on three different perspectives. The first one is the leader's world. So what do executives bring to the conversation? And that has changed, I think, over the last year, the type of topics that they're bringing. So we have a framework at Gallup that I'll share with you, and that can help you understand the different balls that leaders are juggling and how you can help them navigate those. Secondly, I'd like to introduce you to how to create and design a really transformational coaching journey. So right from the beginning, how to introduce yourself and make that connection with the executive, what kind of assessments to use, how to involve key stakeholders, how to finish strong. And then thirdly, I think most importantly is what you do inside those coaching sessions. So how do you as a coach prepare yourself for the coaching sessions so that you can be your best possible self and be that person that the leader needs you to be in that moment? And I'll share with you some practices there. And then secondly, what are some of the things, techniques you can use with executives, things you could do inside the coaching session to generate those kinds of insights that really motivate leaders to take action. So if this sounds at all relevant and interesting to you, I invite you to attend my session on June 9th.
Thanks, Jackie. I wanted to also talk around Jackie's session and how she really talked about the coaching perspective. And I see we had a couple questions around really have managers or focus on workplace, really within all of these sessions and the coaching, it all starts at a foundational personal level. So really they start on how you coach people and then how you apply it to your everyday role and everyday you're in the workplace. So I would say that the heart of all of these starts with people development, personal development, and then taking it a next step further to how they do it in every day. One of the other sessions that is similar to this is Mara Hugerhaus's talking about those leaders with teams and thinking about how you develop people to grow teams and how teams can work more effectively.
Abbie,
Yeah.
let me add on that too. If I ever did write a book, and I'm never gonna, but if I ever did write a book, it would be titled something like "Everything I Learned About Managing People I Learned from Being a Dad." And one of these things, I think, we see this. Well, I don't. And to Ralph's point, he's like, I don't necessarily coach a lot of leaders and managers, but we all, and as I've been looking at this manager report, we all manage things in our life, right? We all have these relationships, whether it's with our children, or it's with our nonprofit groups, or whether it's at our religious organizations, or whatever, right? Whether at work, those same management skills play in all of this. And I know as a dad now of adult children that I have to deploy some of those manager skills, these things that we talk about as being a manager. So I think it applies across the board, whether you're in corporate America, you're in nonprofit, or you're working with families in family coaching. A lot of this new stuff coming out, maybe strip the word manager out and kind of put in that role in there. We all lead in a lot of ways. Abbie, what else do we have?
Exactly. And I think that's a great lead into Danny Lee's session, our senior workplace consultant. So Danny, can you share your session?
Thank you for the introduction. It's a pleasure to speak again for the third time, actually, at the Gallup at Work Summit. In my line of work, many times clients ask me for who are the best practice companies. And one thing I find is that there are no best practice companies, really. There's only best practice teams. And the organizations and companies that happen to have more of those best practice teams tend to be known as the best practice companies. So we're going to talk about teams. Specifically, we're going to talk about intact teams and see how we can optimize or maximize the team performance by using two different methodology. One is the coaching. We'll use the word coaching methodology, and also a strengths-based approach utilizing the CliftonStrengths. Team coaching conversations often can feel very fun. There's a lot of discoveries and a good memory. But let's say 90 days after, we don't see much changes, or it just is left as a good memory. So the topic will focus on how we can change that. So it's not just a good memory and a fun conversation, but 90 days after, we are seeing some changes in behavior, improvement in culture, and the interactions within the team. Because teams are very different. Each teams are at different stages, and there are different needs. So this process cannot be rushed through. There are comprehensive pieces to consider and integrate and pick and choose from. So we will cover at the very high level what are some specific strategies, how to design this team coaching conversation, take it down to the tactical level. How do we make sure that this conversation is aiming towards what is relevant and aiming towards performance? Then we'll also explore some specific techniques and activities so that these activities are not just creating fun dialogues, but also mobilizing future actions. And along the way, we'll integrate some tips as well as some dry humor. So if this is something that piques your interest, I warmly invite you to join my session to up your team coaching game.
And I don't know if for those that were on the call last year, Danny was one of our top, he was one of our top speakers with his session last year because his session was just so fun and engaging. And we're really excited. I've been working with him pretty closely on just having kind of creating a playbook for your teams and coaching. So I think his session is going to be great. And along with that, after Danny's session, one of the other ones that I wanted to call out that was similar, he has more of the team perspective, was Purva's. Because when we think about teams and we think about strengths, we also think about theme dynamics. And she's really going to go through CliftonStrengths in using theme dynamics and how you think about the whole spectrum and you apply it to yourself or your team in the different situations. So I'm really excited about those two sessions specifically.
Yeah, well, I think it gives everybody kind of a good kind of feel for some of the topics, not all of them. There's plenty out there. I mentioned earlier that full agenda has been posted. So if you want to go out to gallupatwork.com, peruse through the agenda tab and see everything that else is available. Abbie, anything else you want to highlight?
Jim, I'm putting you on the hot seat now.
All right.
The closing session, you are leading with Micah this year, talking about the recap. Tell me a little bit more about your close that we're super excited about.
Well, we just call it an after party, and when we were together, that was a fitting name. And I think this year we started thinking about it, and we're like, well, it's still kind of a party, but it's tougher to do that virtually. It's going to act more like the post show. So we get an opportunity at the end of 2 days to, again, recap some of the learning that we had during the session, some of the keynote, to talk about that. We'll bring in some surprise guests and have some great opportunities for you to interact with us on that. So for you to bring your questions in, for you to, well, and who knows what else is going to happen. Abbie, we haven't even seen yet all the great technology that you have. So I'm excited to kind of be blending some of that in as well. So we'll have a great time together afterwards. If you've gone to a Call to Coach and you've visited the after show, all that really means is you stayed after we ended the recording. It's going to have that feel to it, and it'll be good to be back together. I don't get enough Micah time these days, and so it'll be good to be back together. So we're excited to do it, Abbie.
And I'm excited that that's right after Arthur Brooks, our closing keynote. I think his closing keynote for the session is really going to be one of my highlights of the event, talking about hope and resiliency. I've been able to connect with him quite frequently, and he actually leads a session at Harvard. So all of our attendees are really going to be getting a glimpse in a semester at Harvard and what that looks like to be in a resilient leader. So I think with that session closing and going straight into your after party, I'm going to have a little bit post show. Yeah, sorry, post show. I think we're just going to really end the event with a bang. So we hope that everyone on this call can attend and join us. And I also wanted to bring in, and I wanted to really push for updates. Please stay tuned to our website because, and if you are thinking about registering, register so you can get the updates as well. We do allow cancellations up to June 7th. And then stay close to our social media. We have had some really fun announcements with our social channels, and I wanted to bring the mastermind behind all of the cool engagement and fun promos, Riley, to the call, Riley Wiley, to talk a little bit more about that.
Hi, everyone. It's super, super fun to be on here. And yeah, I'm super excited. Leading up to the event, we'll be sharing a lot on our social media platforms. So make sure you're following at Gallup on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And then if you're not, make sure you're following at CliftonStrengths as well on those same platforms. So we'll be consistently posting leading up to the event. Please make sure you're using the hashtag Gallup at work when you're posting anything. And then we would also love to see any of your unboxing videos or pictures of our virtual event box. Please share those on Instagram or whatever platform you love using, and make sure to tag at CliftonStrengths and at Gallup, because we would love to see those and reshare those. And we'll be sharing more and more information as the event gets closer.
Riley's been my partner in all things social for the last year or so, and Riley, it's been great to have you on that team. Like you've made me a million more times effective at social, and it's not just because I'm the old guy and she's the young lady and those kinds of things. Riley's just got a great grasp of all things that are going on around this, especially with social. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to us around that. Abbie, anything else? We've gotten some questions from the chat room. Anything else you want to cover?
I wanted to answer Elmo's question. All of the presentations will be available to download after the session is live, just like in the past, and you will have access to all of the presentations for 90 days along with the videos. This year, we're also having the opportunity to watch all the chat. So I know that was something last year. We had so many great resources in the chat while the live sessions were going on. You'll have access to all of those during your 90 days as well.
What about, I saw how soon will the session recordings be available after we're done? With Call to Coach, we use YouTube, using a different technology. So what's the timing going to be on that? How quickly?
We are looking at 24 hours after the session. There may be some surprises where we can get them uploaded a little bit earlier, but with making sure that they're all ready to go and working correctly, give us a good 24 hours.
And just for clarification, we still are, Kelly was asking, 90 days, right? Post summit, those are available.
Correct. 90 days. And I did see some questions about signing up for breakout sessions. So for those who have attended the in-person event, you remember we had jam-packed rooms and I was getting calls of, this is a fire code hazard and things like that, where we started asking our attendees to pre-register and reserve their spots. With it being virtual, we don't really have a limit. There's no fire code hazards that I'm being called about. So you will be able to choose your breakout sessions of choice the day of. And we don't ask anybody to register for them in advance.
So they don't need to do that now. That's kind of been the number one question. They've registered, they're looking for that place. I had folks trying to register for the breakouts on GallupAtWork.com. They can see the plus button and they're dropping it down. Where do I register? So the good news is you don't have to, right? You can do it. You can kind of do a day of, but you do want to register. Just a reminder, you do want to register before May 15th. I'm telling you, if you do it on the 16th, we can't send you the box. So make sure you get that done. No exceptions on that one, because we have to ship them all around the world, and that just takes a while to get that done. So make sure you get your registration in by the May 15th. Abbie, two prices, right? So $495 for the public, $395 for our certified coaches, using certified coaches, the discount code. No other options for folks, right?
Nope, that's our only. That's only discount.
Just to clarify that as well. Let's see if there's any other. Oh, can we talk about for the folks? This is really meta, but for the folks who registered for 2020 and going to 2021, can you just kind of give that quick overview of what they need to do at this point?
Yes. So we have sent multiple emails to everyone who had a 2020 registration that did not cancel, that we moved their registration over to 2021. You should have re-registered because of the price difference. We actually gave all of those 2020 an additional add-on. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to GallupAtWork@Gallup.com, and we're happy to hop on the phone. I know I've hopped on the phone with a couple of attendees and helped walk through that process and made sure they're all good to go. But you should have re-registered, and we have been in contact with all of those who qualify.
I thought we made this really clear, Abbie, but apparently we didn't. So they're actually getting a physical box. We're really shipping something, no matter where they're at in the world. It's a box, right?
Yep. It's a box, and there's a physical book inside. And then
with the top 5
code. I really want to share the surprise, but I have promised that I wouldn't. But I promise that everybody is going to love the other item in the box. And it's a way that we're going to do interactivity in the event. So you're going to want it because you're going to want to participate in some of the competitions that we're doing. But definitely you're going to love the box. And Riley's been a part of helping get it. We have a whole team involved, making sure we have enough boxes to ship around the world.
If Riley's helping, it's going to be a great box. I'm just saying.
I have one more thing to
go
leading
ahead.
up to the event. Make sure you're checking your email, because we will be sending you emails to log into the virtual space so that you can test your system beforehand. So just keep an eye on your email leading up to the event.
Yes, and for sure you want to log in because we will be asking you additional questions for your networking. So we're really putting the gasoline on the networking experience, and so you're going to want to stay tuned for that.
Yeah, it was pretty good last year. But we've made some massive improvements to it that you're gonna want to be a part of. Abbie, Elisa's asking, how much do you love your job, and what are your top 5? And realizing this is the most stressful time for you between now and June. But give us your top 5.
I wake up every day so excited that I get to work with Jim and Riley and the rest of the Summit team. So I am living the dream with the dream job. My top 5 are achiever, responsibility, discipline, individualization, and positivity.
There you go.
I was like, I don't know where I hit the.
That's always that 5th one. That's hard to. That's for a lot of people. That's
Positivity.
Hard to
Sometimes on Friday morning, I need my coffee before that kicks in. But.
Listen, I love and run up against your discipline all the time on this thing, because I'm wild west, shooting from the hip. And you're trying to nail this thing down, and so we always appreciate that discipline and making sure things happen. Riley, what about you? What's your top 5?
So my top 5 are woo, communication, positivity, adaptability, and developer. So I love people and building relationships with people. So I'm really, really happy to be a part of this team, and super fun to be able to be on this call as well.
Yeah, it's gonna be good fun. I'm looking forward to it. Gallup's planning on taking the entire month of July off just because of this. So don't expect. No, I'm just kidding. Abbie, anything else that you want to add? And we'll give a second for kind of final questions from the chat room. I think we've covered most of them, but anything else that you want to throw in there?
No, I'm just very excited. Like I said, I think the highlight of my day has been to see the names that I know we've had attend in the past. We've had a couple of our past speakers also in this call. So I'm just excited to get together with virtually with the people that we've developed relationships with and see you again. And then do look for the event. We will be announcing the 2022 plan of attack during our event. So we're excited to talk about that.
Sonny wants to drop a compliment. We always take compliments, so that's great. He says last year's summit was one of the best and most well organized virtual summits out there, and literally blew with capitals the socks off some others that I went to. Well done, Sonny. Thanks for that encouragement as well. And so I think with that, let me just make sure. I think with that we'll wrap it. Am I okay to wrap it?
Yeah. Yep.
All right. With that, we'll remind everyone to take full advantage of all the resources we have now on Gallup Access. Head out to gallup.com/CliftonStrengths. And actually, I didn't know this till a couple weeks ago, but CliftonStrengths.com, that works too. So if you want to, it's a little bit shorter than that. You can use that as well. Lots of resources, including all of our webcasts. This one will get posted out there as well. If you haven't, there's an opportunity at the bottom of the page to sign up for the Clifton Strengths community newsletter. Riley, why is the newsletter so important? Like, why do people want to be on our newsletter?
So many reasons. For one, upcoming, you'll learn more and more about the Clifton Strengths for Managers report. So if you're curious about that new report and want to know what's going to be inside it, how much it costs, etc., please sign up for the newsletter. And then each month you actually get a dynamic piece of content in the newsletter about your top strengths. So it's individualized completely to you, as well as other updates. So make sure you subscribe to that newsletter because it has a lot of great stuff every month.
Yeah, no, it's great. And you guys, this is another thing that's been revolutionized by our comms team, is that newsletters actually happen every month now, which is super. We'd say we were going to do it and we wouldn't. And the new evolution of this team, and you guys, and Abbie, you as well, working on that same team, we say it's there. So it's super great. It's a newsletter I look forward to every single month. So get subscribed to it. Now, if you have questions on anything, you can always send us an email, coaching@gallup.com. We can be found. Riley, how can people find us? Like I always say, just search Clifton Strengths on any social platform. What would you say? What's the best way to find us?
Best way to find us, our @ is @CliftonStrengths. So follow us on all the social media platforms. I'm posting on the Clifton Strengths Instagram almost every day. So follow that account. We're posting new things constantly. So @CliftonStrengths.
All right. And we want to thank you for joining us live today. Of course, if you have questions, just email us, coaching@gallup.com. We'll see you a little bit later today. Dean Jones is coming on to talk about part 2 of developing salespeople, 1 p.m. Central. You want to be a part of that. We'll see you later this afternoon. With that, we'll say goodbye, everybody.